What are you? You're a tough guy now, huh? I thought you were just supposed to be the simpering, but, open to conversation Trump defender. Of course, I remember you when you said he was like the worst thing in the world, but everything's convenience these days, right? It's getting you paid.
Today, we're breaking down a massive collision between Chris Cuomo and CNN's go-to MAGA voice, Scott Jennings. Cuomo usually stays in the middle, but in this clip, he completely takes the gloves off. He isn't just debating, he's straight up calling out Jennings' whole tough guy act in a way you rarely see on national TV. We're gonna walk through this explosion together and look at what it says about where our media is at right now. I've got plenty of thoughts to share as we go, but first, let's see the footage that has everyone talking. Before we hit play, do me a huge favor. Smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps the work we're doing. Also, drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from today. Let's get into it.
You see this clip of Scott Jennings saying, how are you going to enforce it? How are you going to enforce me not saying the word illegals anymore? How are you going to do that?
Say illegals anymore, because ICE is directly targeting legal citizens of this country. And how
are you going to enforce your edict on me, just out of curiosity?
Listen, I understand.
But just listen to his point about illegal.
No,
What are you, bully now? What are you, tough guy? Because you're talking to this kid who happens to be right, calling people illegals. They're called illegal aliens in the law. And you know what? A long time ago, Republicans and Democrats switched to undocumented. Why? Because it seemed inhuman. That's why. They changed the vernacular, and you know it. But that's not the point. The point is, how are you going to do it? What are you going to do? What are you? You're a tough guy now, huh? I thought you were just supposed to be the simpering, but, open to conversation Trump defender. Of course, I remember you when you said he was like the worst thing in the world, but everything's convenience these days, right? It's getting you paid. But be careful. If you want to be a tough guy, there are plenty of tough guys out there. You want to see how somebody can make you stop saying illegal? And then what are you going to do? Sue? Tough guy. How are you going to enforce that? So if somebody beats your ass because you're being rude and disrespectful and causing division in this country, that's causing distress and pain all over the streets and making people want to hurt one another. If you really want to be a part of that, as the expression goes, FAFO, don't be a tough guy. Make tough points. But remember to be decent. You're not a tough guy, okay? You're a guy with slick to the side hair, a slick tongue, and everybody knows what you're doing. Don't be a tough guy.
Look, I find this entire situation fascinating on a few different levels, and it's worth slowing down to unpack exactly why. Let's start with Chris Cuomo. Now, I've always had mixed feelings about him. I don't buy into the hate narrative, but my biggest issue has always been his approach on News Nation. He often falls into this both sides trap where a Republican does something clearly harmful and he immediately pivots to, yeah, but Democrats do bad stuff too. The problem is that the contrast between these two parties in 2026 is undeniable if you're paying even a little attention. I'm not saying Democrats are perfect, far from it, but the dynamics are fundamentally different. When Cuomo flattens those differences for the sake of balance, it's frustrating. But even with that baggage, he occasionally hits on a truth that's hard to ignore, and he's absolutely right about Scott Jennings. If you watch the panels on Phillip's show, you know Jennings' whole vibe is purely performative. He's smug, confrontational, and he's always playing to the camera rather than engaging with the people sitting right in front of him. In that clip with Cameron Kasky, Jennings acts offended just because he's asked to use undocumented instead of illegals. It's a pivot into this tough guy posture that he uses constantly. What makes this hilarious and a bit revealing is that Jennings recently admitted he views his role as a mix of show business and professional wrestling. That's his own framing. Once you hear that, the act makes total sense. He's not arguing policy, he's creating moments to keep the hate watchers tuned in and the MAGA base cheering. So when Cuomo calls him out and says, "You're not a tough guy," it hits home because it strips away the spectacle. Cuomo, for all his flaws, is at least trying to engage with the issues. Jennings is just leaning into the spectacle. It makes you wonder, what would happen if Jennings had to sit down for a one-on-one with Cuomo without the safety of a panel? It would strip away the performative layers and force some actual substance. But I want to hear from you. Do you think Cuomo was right to call out the Tough Guy Act, or is he just as guilty of the same thing? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We're pushing for 5,000 subscribers to keep this independent analysis going, so if you found this useful, hit that like button and subscribe. I'm Mike, and I'll see you in the next one.